thoughts really on an outstanding performance tonight from the team?
Just, yeah, this one hurts a little bit just because I thought the team played very well. And I feel like we deserved a little bit better, but that's football for us. But what's most important is how far we've come. Last time we played Orlando at their home, we were just surviving. Yes, it was a 1-0 game, but we had no business being in that game. And second time around, that first half, they couldn't even get out of their half in the first 30 minutes. Our movement off the ball, we were creating so many chances, and we were really playing our type of football. And in the second half, it evened out a little bit, but we still had some really good looks against arguably the best team in the league right now, undefeated. There's a reason for it, and that's that difference, right? They have just that little edge, and they find a way. But we're getting very close, and I'm incredibly proud and happy of the team's performance, every single one of those players, and even the players that didn't play. Because the reason we're playing this type of football is because how we've come together, and everyone is having an impact in practice, which makes everyone that much better. So overall, pleased with the way we played. Unfortunate result.
Marissa and Paula.
Earlier in the season where you talked about just like execution kind of not being there for you guys. Tonight you had two really good chances, like the pass from Maddie to Dorian and the pass from Racheal to Racheal, and just didn't really execute there. Where do you kind of evaluate something like that, where you do get those chances? Orlando is a very good team. You guys did play really well, but that execution piece is still just missing a little.
Yeah, that's where the top teams around the world are. That's why they're the best teams, right? When they can score and they can finish those chances. But as we are growing, what's important for us, are we creating chances? And we're creating those chances. They're not half chances. There were some very good chances in the first half as well. So, it's a positive. And then it's, our finishing, just that confidence and knowing and that belief that we're going to score, and not that like, oh, we're almost surprised that we got there. And it's just that understanding like, no, we're getting here every single time. We have to know that we can score. And my message to them is like, you've got to believe now, because the way we've been playing is the late and this performance that we had. If I'm any other team in this league, they're not going to want to face us because of what we're able to do. And then now it's just that belief and desire of putting the ball in the back of the net.
Paula, I have two questions. One English and Spanish. Paula, good evening. Let's talk about the level of competition, urgency, and details managing the game. Thank you.
Well, managing the game, we manage the game by possessing. So one of the things from the very beginning, so I'll break the game down. It was important for us, I asked the team, our best defending is going to come from our attack, which is obviously what I love, but we're obviously now also very sound defensively. But we're going to keep the ball. The more longer we have the ball and the more they're chasing, okay, the more successful we're going to be. I think we got away from that a little bit in second half, credit to Orlando, but we were still dangerous. And then we're creating chances. So as the game went on, one of the questions as a coach goes, okay, do we make certain changes or do we change the formation? And I go, are we creating? If we're creating, then we don't have to change too much. I mean, even to the very end, it was just kind of like off by this much. That ball that goes into Maddie from Kundananji, and she plays it across. It's just, off by just a little bit. So managing, and the urgency at the end, that's something that it's easy for us from the outside to go, hey, keep pushing, keep pressing. But they're the ones running for 90 minutes, right, and giving everything they have. And I still thought that, we did well, we responded well. But just grow from that and get a little bit better and hopefully not put ourselves in that position in the first place, because we should have been up 2-0 before that goal.
Segunda pregunta. Ustedes jugaron hoy con un equipo que es muy bueno, muy competitivo a este nivel del torneo. Ustedes como nuevo club, ¿cómo ves el desarrollo del equipo y el nivel de competencia que está creciendo en ustedes? Gracias.
Los veo muy bien. Eso es lo que le dije al equipo después del juego. Mira, nosotros estamos jugando en una manera que podemos jugar con cualquier equipo en esta liga. Hoy jugamos con el mejor equipo de la liga, y mira cómo lo hicimos. Tuvimos mucho, atacamos mucho de muchas diferentes maneras. Lo más importante es cómo lo estábamos moviendo lo de la pelota. Y eso es una cosa que están aprendiendo, pero no están aprendiendo ahora, lo están haciendo. Y de verdad, de tener un juego así también, con el mejor equipo, nosotros lo sentimos muy bien. Ahora, cuando tenemos 5 juegos, creo, que quedan. Lo sentimos muy bien de ese juego. Gracias.
Michael?
All right, Coach, so is it more aggravating that it's against the best team in the league that you were that close to knocking them off, giving them their first loss, as you're trying to make this playoff push? And if you have to look back on this later on, if the playoffs work or not, will this game be the one that you look back on the most?
Absolutely not. There's been a lot of other games. I mean, every game that we lose, we look at it and we kind of dissect it. Yes, this one's going to hurt because it was against the best team in the league, and we played very well and deserved more. But there's been other games that we've left. I mean, this is almost unexpected, right, for us to come in here and get points. We knew we could, and we felt that, and the way we've been playing, and the way we believe. But we know we're this close. So this game, just for us, it's, if anything, yes, it's frustrating, but it's also encouraging that, gosh, we've come a long ways. This isn't too bad, right? There's been other games that we've dropped some points that we shouldn't have. Those will be the frustrating ones. But we're making playoffs, so we're going to be okay.
Marco, and then William and Brian.
Coach, the flip side of that, this game really is truly a game of inches. But the way their cross got over you guys' defender, and then they score. But then you guys had so many chances that just barely missed. Even though you lost this game, you had this team on their heels throughout the majority of this game. Is this the most proud moment of this team so far this season?
I don't know if it's most proud. It's just it's been an evolution, right? Because you can say we had an incredible performance against Portland, away from home, and in a stadium that's very difficult to play against, right? And then we went to Carolina and got a point, and it's only been 2 teams that have gotten points there, and that's Orlando and us. So, it's encouraging that we just continue to get better, and that's how we look at it. We've played some difficult opponents in these last few games, and the performance is really what we look at. So now we've got to go and continue improving, and hopefully we see them again, because that means we're in the playoffs.
All right, we'll go William, and then Brian, and then Doug to wrap us.
And then, of course, you mentioned earlier, last game was 1-0 as well. Tonight, 1-0. How motivating is that to you that you only lost to a team that's unbeaten 1-0 on both occasions, even though you said you weren't really in the last game, you didn't belong there. But compared to where they've been, that's a really impressive feat, I'd say.
It is, but we've now gotten to a point that we expected to win internally, right? So that's actually it. We're not looking at it as like, oh gosh, yeah, it was just 1-0 against a very good team. Yeah, that's the reality, but we're going to be disappointed to a certain extent because we're playing at a high level and we could have won that game, and now we're going to look at it, how could we really put it away? Because we had our chances, and then all the way to the end, just can we defend that cross before it gets off? Can we back up into Banda and just bump her a little bit, right? It's like it's a game of inches. That ball goes right over Emily that much, and Banda gets a head on it. So it's... Yeah, compared to the first game, I go back, I look at it, it's just, we're just improving. So that's kind of all we ask for the team, is to continue getting better, and we have been. There's a upward trend right now. We feel it, and we know it, and that needs to continue.
Brian, and then just one Brian, and then Doug.
So early in the season looked very expansionish. Now looking should be in the mix. You'd really like to kind of play the first part of the season again. So with the changes that have been made, both, moving people around, getting some new people in, how differently are you able to coach, and how differently are yours and the team's expectations of themselves now?
So that's a good question. I'm going to touch on something, and just because I'm always honest, and I spoke to our staff about this week. The first 3 or 4 months, I will say that I wasn't necessarily thinking that much about the team. There was so much going on behind the scenes, and it makes it very difficult. This last couple months, every day, every minute, I'm thinking about the players, the team, how we can get better. I told our staff I was driving to practice on Monday morning, and all I was thinking was who I needed to speak with in the individual meetings, how I needed to connect with a certain player, okay, how we were going to play them. Just, it's all about the football, which what I enjoy. So the fact that we're there, that just says a lot, instead of worrying about so many other outside distractions to a certain extent, which then carries over to the team. The team now is in a spot, though, that they understand the type of football that we want to play, but not only understand, they believe in it. And they believe in themselves. And they trust this process now. So it's all coming together really well. They're getting it, and the coaching staff is really at a place where we're doing what we love. We're teaching football and having them come out here and have a performance like they did. So that's why we're in a good place right now. It's all the energy is spent on them and what they do on the field. It's a big difference than what was going on before, trust me.
Doug, wrap us up on this one.
Coach, so right now Orlando's in first, you guys are in eighth. Is there a distinct possibility?
What's that?
Orlando's in first,
Oh, yeah.
you guys are in eighth. Is there a distinct possibility you could match up again in the playoffs? How would you feel about that competition?
After this performance tonight, I said, let's go. Let's bring him on. Some of our coaches and the players were already talking about that. And I think they're a wonderful team. They're so well organized, and I have a lot of respect for their staff. And their staff was very complimentary of the way we played them. I don't think they were expecting that. They knew, and going into it, it's like, hey, you guys were playing really good football. We knew it would come together. It's nice how it's come together. But after what they experienced in that first half and then parts of the second half, they made it clear to us. So I don't think they want to face us as much as we want to face them. But I also have our sights in moving up because we're not too far away from sixth place, right? Today would have been important, but we're right in there. So I'm not looking at 8-1. I'm looking at, seventh and then sixth. But I'll take anyone right now.
All right, we'll wrap it on that question. We'll have players along shortly.
What do you learn from tonight's game, especially playing against Orlando? Thank you. And I have another question. As a player, and at this point of the season, how important was to play with Orlando? Thank you.
Yeah, I think Orlando is at the top of the table, and they've had a really successful season, and I think, they have depth and quality all over the field. But for us to be able to play with the confidence we played, show our style of soccer, hurt them in multiple ways and have quality attacking chances, I think we're taking that as a positive. Obviously, we didn't get the result we wanted, but there's a lot of positives to take out of that. And, we refocus, we just move on to the next and get ready for our game in Seattle away.
Marissa?
Racheal, just how different was this game against Orlando compared to last time? Like, how different did it feel? Same result as the last game, but it just, from watching, looked a lot more competitive.
I think today we had a very great game because we created a lot of chances, even though we didn't use them. Soccer is a game of chances, and they only had that chance which they used, and they've won 1-0. But we've learned something from it, and I'm so proud of our team because as a new team which is just coming out playing the way that we were playing, because I know and nobody believed that the team is going to do to give this performance with Orlando today. But I'm so proud of my team. Yeah.
Marco?
Racheal, where you guys had this team on their heels for most of that game, and this game is a game of inches. You guys had chances where you missed by a little bit, then they get their one chance that they put in, right? But as I asked Coach Albertin was this your most proud moment of the season so far, the way you guys just dominated this team despite losing 1-0 to them?
I think I would say yes, because as you can see, the past games that we have played, the team is developing every day. So now what we need to do is now to use those chances which we are creating, because we are able to create in all angles. We are creating chances, and everyone is putting in the effort. As you can see, even the players who came in, they brought a change in the game. So I feel like we have a great team, and we just need to use those chances in order to, to win all the games.
Abby, what have you learned about this team since joining?
Yeah, I think just the importance of culture, and a positive one. And I love this team. I love the girls, the coaches, the staff. Like, everyone is so bought into what we're doing and, the goals, and just so supportive and, truly wanting the best out of each other. And I feel like to be the best, you have to bring your best. And everyone is, like Rudy said, developing and getting better. And game by game, it's coming together. And, this league has a lot of parity. But I think if we're able to stay together like this team is and stay tightly knit and have each other's backs. Like, the sky's the limit for this team. And I think Albertin keeps telling us that, and saying no one wants to play us. And I think, we are dangerous. We're very dangerous. And I think defensively, we take pride in stopping goals. And, that was a world-class finish. But, again, like I said, just on to the next game. And I'm just so happy and, fortunate to be here. And, just couldn't be happier.
Brian?
So, Racheal, since you came back from the Olympics and with the addition of Abby to help just stabilize that back line, it seems like you've been playing freer, making more of those runs where you're just kind of moving past the defenders like they're really not moving and showing that speed. Is that something that you feel freer now, that you're not as worried about having to get back so quickly?
I feel like those first games before the Olympics, I feel like I was thinking a lot about, the transfer and everything. I feel like it made me to be down. But when I went to the Olympics, I sat down and watched the games that we played before and watched the games they were playing in the Summer Cup games. And I was like thinking and realizing that I think I have to be easy on myself, and when I came back, I was just a new person because I forgot about everything that's for the past. And right now I need to focus about the future, the games that we are remaining with. Even today I was telling some of my teammates, saying, we've lost, we did our best, but let's forget about this because this game will never come back again. Let's focus about the next game, and so that we can win. We learn from our mistakes. That's it.
Let's do William, Marissa, and then Michael.
For Racheal, obviously you were playing with Barbara today. Does that add any extra motivation to try to kind of one-up her? And then for Abby, how difficult is it to defend a player like Barbara Banda?
Playing against my countrymate, and it's something which motivates. She's doing her best in this side, I'm doing my best in this side. It's more like, as you saw, there were so many fans who came out to support us and to give us, not just us BFC, but even us Zambians also. They were trying to show love and to know that we are welcomed in the US. And I'm so happy, and this is my first time to play against someone from my country, but we've played in the same team with other players, but this is the first time here in the US. But I feel like we are having a good game, and my team is helping me every time, as this is a secret, I'll tell you, but Abby, since she joined me, the way she talked to me, she reminds me of Monica from my former team. She used to take me as her younger sister and talk to me and to tell me what to do next and encourage me every time, and that also I think brought something to me. I've never told her that, so to her it's new.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
To follow up with Rudy's point, I'm really glad, first off, I'm not answering your question, but I'm really glad I only have to practice against her, not play against her in games that matter, because she is so important to the team and on and off the field, and she adds so much to this team, and just irreplaceable for me. And to play against Banda is a handful in the best way possible. I think she's one of the best strikers in the world. She has, physicality, speed, strength. She can hit the ball right and left-footed and aerial. She's present. So, she's a handful for center backs, and definitely, making sure that, you have a little bit of cover, or you're double teaming or doubling down when you can. But, I think, top forwards, they get 1-2 chances and they put them away. And she did that tonight, and credit to her. But, she's done so well in the league. But I'm really happy that we have Rudy, too. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Marissa, and then Michael.
What stands out to you about Maddie Morrow? She's someone who was subbed in at forward, she's subbed in at outside back today, and she's just kind of all over the field. For you as a center back, what's it like having someone like her kind of beside you?
Yeah, I think she is irreplaceable to this team. I think, just as a teammate first and foremost, I think she was nominated for one of the Ally Awards for, best teammate on our team. So I think that speaks, volumes to the type of person she is. I think she's brings positivity, and like you said, she's versatile. So I think that's amazing. It's her first year in the league, and she's quick and speedy and tenacious, and she can play winger, outside back. And in this league, you need depth, and she's just an incredible teammate and person, and we're really, really lucky to have her on our team.
Okay, so you guys being a first-year team, so a lot of success will be playing with house money, you would say. But when you guys play this well against the number 1 team in the league, how much confidence does that give you guys if you do qualify for the playoffs, what you guys will do in the postseason?
You can go first.
Yeah, I think this team is kind of taken a little bit of like this underdog mentality and role, and I think that there's truly like nothing to lose for us. And I think obviously we have these goals and we want to make playoffs and this and that, but I think like Rudy said, like we're just focusing on one game at a time and just trying to be in the present. So I think we're going to learn from our mistakes, and even like from the beginning of season till now, I think it's just the team has continued to get better and better, and solidify kind of the culture, and you could just truly feel like this team is like all in, and everyone on this roster is all in and wants the best for each other, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.